Hi guys, I hope everyone's doing well. First of all, I want to say, wow. I every now and then I just come to check the channel to see if there are any comments or questions from the last videos. You guys know that I'm sporadic with updating. This is, something that I do to help people, and it's just fun occasionally. But I was shocked that my last couple of videos each had over 1,000 views. I was like, wow. So that's awesome. It's great, really gratifying. I hope that my videos are helpful. Um, my name is Kim, for those of you who don't know. I'm gonna change my this YouTube channel name to just Kim Can because yeah, testing is not necessarily my focus anymore. It could still be in the future, but I'm doing sales and this video is about sales. So you guys, if you saw my other videos, you know that I went to the Flockjay program and I have since been hired. This is just an update video. So much has changed. I started with my company in April and I just wanted to do a video about what it's like working at a startup, because I work at a proper startup and I mean, ooh, I love it. I love the company, but startups have pluses and minuses, and I just wanted to talk about things now that I've been on the job for a couple of months. So first, I wanted to talk about inbound versus outbound sales, because at this point I've done both. I am an inbound nista. That is my jam. I did a training called Sales Mentor before I started my Flockjay training, and it was about inbound closing. I really enjoyed it, and they started me out on inbound, and they recently switched me to outbound. I'm going to be honest, I'm not as happy, but that being said, I'm learning so much for my job that part is great. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, but let's just do a few things that I've found for inbound versus outbound. Inbound, you just have to pick up the phone. Don't let any calls drop. You have to be there. And I really like working inbound because you're able to just focus a little. I like to be focused. If I'm like dedicated and zeroed in on something, I'm able to get a tremendous amount done in that dedicated time. However, with outbound, there are so many other parts and pieces that for me, I think my pacing is really affected, and ultimately my effectiveness or my efficacy is affected. Unfortunately, I have not, it's been a month, but I have not met incentive for outbound, but I did meet it for inbound. So for inbound, like I said, the main thing is don't let any calls drop. As soon as the phone rings, pick up, pick up, pick up, pick up, pick up. I can do that and be helpful. Be efficient, know your processes, get in and get out, right? But be helpful. Um, th- the other thing I would say is maybe it's good to try both. When they told me that I was going to be going to outbound, I already tried it because I worked briefly at another company and I knew that it wasn't for me, but I wasn't resistant to trying. I think that it's good to come in with the perspective of I'm going to learn something, and I've learned so much. My goal at this point is to get back on the inbound team because it's just my performance is way better. I'll talk about that in another second, but like I said, for inbound, just you got to be ready to pick up the phone. You cannot let calls drop. And when you're on, if it's something where you're going to have SAT scores like we do, be ready to be as helpful as you possibly can. Even if you don't get the person the end result, like with inbound and with outbound too. Even if I don't get them the end result, I really do try to give the customers as much help as I can so that they know that they were helped to the best of my ability. Because at the end of the day, that's what my job is to help them to the best of my ability. Okay? Now, outbound. Outbound is less heart centered, and this has just been my experience. It's more about numbers. More about numbers. Click, 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 click. Not in the same way that inbound is. I find, I'm being honest. I, because speed is a thing for me. I, if I get a voicemail, I'm just like focusing on that voicemail, voicemail, voicemail. Versus with inbound, it's like, okay, I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to be caring. I'm ready to be listening because I have to get X amount of dials in for each day. And that has been my focus. There are other goals and milestones within my pipeline, but I've been focusing on dials because that's tangible for me and what I can do. And like I said, I just had my first month. I might have said that I didn't reach incentive yet, but I just had yesterday. We worked we work 1 week in a month. So yesterday I finally reached that first minimum amount of dials, or the dial goal, I should say, for outbound. But the thing is, I didn't have any meetings. Like I told you, I need to just be able to work and focus. And the other thing for me, without the outbound team, there are so many meetings that you have to go to, mandatory. One, at least on average, like 2 meetings a day. Whereas when I was working inbound, there were lots of meetings and events and things that you can go to that are optional and really fantastic. Some of them about personal growth and development, but optional. I opted out of a lot of that stuff and just stayed on the phone. I try to do that as much as I can with outbound, but it's a slightly different beast, and I'm just unable to. So I'm realizing like how much that's weighed on me in terms of my efficacy. And these are things that you might have to think of too, like how does the team operate, how does the workflow operate, and what's going to be better for you. So inbound, pick up the phone, pick up the phone, pick up the phone. Don't miss any calls. Outbound, you have to trim the fat on your workflow. I had to trim it down so much just to get to the calls, and focus on a goal and anchor. For me, like they have in the pipeline that I'm in, you can do calls, you can do closings basically if you can get the apps. Meaningful calls. I tend to focus on just the calls and meaningful calls if I get any, but I'm really, really heavy on calls. So I get a lot of voicemail, and I literally am like in my head, voicemail, 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 because I'm trying to move quickly. I don't actually, I'm not going to say, I don't quite like that, but this is a job and I need to get my incentive because that's an important part of my pay. My family needs it. I take care of my mom. It's just me and her, and it's important. So yeah, that's a little bit about inbound versus outbound and some things to consider. Heart-centered folks like me, you know, inbound might be better. Now let's talk about cadences. My team's cadence has been really interesting. There's still we're doing a reorganization or reorg, like they're changing everything around. So there's just been a lot of 1 week is this and 1 week is that. It's not very settled, unfortunately. So for me, I mean, it is what it is. Everybody's learning, even my manager's learning. But for the cadences that I've had, I just want to say, ask people around you questions, ask people in your team questions, and find out how they're working to the cadence. That has been helpful for me to figure out how to be more efficient. So, because like with what I'm doing, I work in the mortgage industry. So we have to track, you have to track your calls. Most people, even in sales, like you need to track the number of calls, but you might have certain information that you want to keep for whatever reason, right? Depending on your area. And I have cut down so much stuff. When I first started with the cadences, I was doing all this research, like spending a couple of minutes per call on research, and I stopped doing that. I just go in and I dial directly now, because my manager, she said something that was really insightful. She said, most of these people, you're going to get voicemail anyway, so why are you wasting that time? So you have to think in terms of that for your cadences. If you have like a cadence with a lot of steps, you need to cut through those steps. Think about the essential aspects and just do those. And talk to people. Don't just assume that everybody's working their cadence or workflow the same way, because they might not be. You can also make suggestions to your manager about maybe how to improve the cadence that would work for everybody, because at the end of the day, you guys are trying to reach a goal. So those are some things to consider. When I first started, like I said, speed is still an issue for me, but I'm much faster. At least I was able to get to my minimum dials, the dial goal, I should say. And that had to do in part because I work my cadence differently than I did when I started. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful. If you have questions, please let me know. If you're finding this helpful, please click that like button. Let me know. And the other thing I wanted to say is, if you guys want me to make more videos about sales and like just what I'm talking about, let me know that as well. I don't make videos very often, but I really do love to help. And if I can make another helpful video, then I will. Okay, comment below and let me know, please. All right, now management style. I started off with one manager and now I'm with a different manager. This is something else you have to take into consideration if you're thinking about your job. Now, obviously, you can only have so much control and flexibility over this, but I work for a very caring company. So I feel comfortable making changes, and I am going to actually request a change. I don't know if they're going to guarantee it, but I'm going to put in a request because, like I said, I've been trying this for a month now, and I'm not as fulfilled as I was and want to be. And also, there's an element of stress paired with my personal life right now. I just don't need the stress. I would rather just go back to inbound and have an easier time. Plus, I'm studying for my licensing exam, and with the way this cadence is working and the workflow is for inbound, for outbound, I got confused. I haven't been able to study as much, and if I don't study, then I can't keep my job. So there has to be a balance. Anyways, management style. I prefer managers who are a little bit more laid back than a little bit more hands on. I think I might have said this at the beginning. Just let me work. Tell me what my assignment is, and let me go sit in the corner, just sit there for 6, 7 hours and just do what I need to do. If I have questions, I'll reach out, but other than that, I don't want to talk. Really, that's how I am. Just let me work. The manager that I had at first was more laid back and chill. The manager that I have now, she's fantastic. She's given me so much great advice, and I've been able to take it and utilize it. But the workflow is a little bit more, or her style is a little bit more hands-on, and it makes it more challenging. Hold on, guys, I have to cough. Sorry, guys. So, anyways, you have to think about that too. Like, what management style do you prefer? Because that could affect how things go as well. I I don't know how to say, like, I just like managers who are more laid back and a little bit more trusting, if you will. So that's just me. Think about that. I do feel like that's affecting because I'm already, struggling at this point to meet the minimum, meet that goal. And I know that she's trying and she's doing her best, but our flow isn't as good, which is also impacting me in a way. And I don't want to deal with it. I just am like, no, not right now. I need to pass this certification test and, like, just focus on the meeting the goals. So I'm trying to get rid of some layers of stress here at the moment, you guys. So that's that. What else? Working at a startup, you're going to have organizational restructuring. I just said that they're in the middle of doing that now with my company. Things are not completely changing, but changing significantly. Myself and a whole bunch of others were pulled off of inbound and put on outbound. And it's funny because, like, nobody from the inbound team wanted to go to outbound. They made it voluntary at first, and then folks were just like, nah, we don't want to. So then they were like, okay, it's no longer a choice. We're just gonna pull people, which is what they did. Totally get it. They're doing what's best for business, and it's been so cool because some of the folks who were on inbound, they are killing it on outbound. Like, they should have been on outbound the whole time, and I'm sure that they thought at first that they weren't going to be good at it, but they're crushing it. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so happy for them. I'm just not one of those people. So, I think I said this already, but if you're working for a startup, there's going to be change. You need to be flexible, even if you don't like it, even if you're in a situation with me where it's just like, oh, this isn't the best fit. You still need to be like, okay, but I'm going to try and I'm going to learn. That's my suggestion, because you will learn. I learned so much that I hope that they put me back on an inbound. And, like, one of my arguments is going to be I have learned so much from being on outbound that it's going to make me a better, even better inbound person. And my SAT scores for inbound were already on point. Like, I was already up there doing what I needed to do. But now, like, I have more of a technical edge that will make me even better. And also help the newer people on inbound who are coming in. Like, I can help them with the stuff that was scary and question marky to me at first, because of my outbound experience now, that stuff, I know how to handle it. I just helped someone this past week with something that even 3 weeks ago I would have been like, now it's just like, oh girl, let me help you. Like, totally. So that's that. Go with the flow, learn, but then we're going to get to the last part, which is advocacy, which is what I'm going to have to do. If you find yourself in an org restructuring and you're like, and you've done what you could, you've tried, you've taken advice, you've applied it, and things still just aren't working out. If you're in a supportive company, which I hope you are, we all aren't, but if you know your company and whether or not you can come to them about stuff or not, talk to your HR person. I was actually just coincidentally just had a Slack session with my HR one-on-one, just getting to know her and exploring other roles at the company that I might be better suited for once I pass probation and pass this test. Y'all pray for me about this test. Like, for real, I need all the prayers. So, yes, this mortgage, I'm taking the mortgage exam specifically. Like, be specific in your prayers, please, for real. So, anyways, I'm gonna Slack her tomorrow and also Slack my manager and say, hey, you know what? It's been a month. I mean, I just hit my minimum this past weekend, which is great, but this is affecting me in XYZ way. Is there any way I can go back to inbound? I've learned and grown in this way from outbound, but I would love to go back to inbound. And I want my incentive. I want my money. That's an extra $1,600 a month on top of my base that is wonderful and I'm really grateful for it. But I want my incentive. I need my money. I live in the Bay Area. This is San Francisco Bay Area. I need all the dollars and cents. Okay, so I will be doing some advocating for myself on Monday, which brings me to something else. You know, even though I like to work very focused and kind of, I want cipher is not the correct word to use, but in like a funnel, kind of like a focus kind of way. I do sometimes go to different things. Like we have women's meetings on my for my company. They have this type of meeting every now and then. And I actually met my HR person. I didn't even know who she was, but I was asking good questions. She noticed me. She slacked me personally and was like, "Hey, let's I would love to talk and just get to know you or whatever." Perfect. Now here we are a couple of weeks later, and I need to talk to her. So, if you're trying to work on your workflow, be very selective if you have to, because you need that time to actually work and master your skill set, but leave some small windows of time open for things that aren't just work, so that you can do a little networking. Okay, final tip. I hope that this has been helpful. Life after Flockjay has been a lot of learning. It's been a lot of roller coaster experiences for me at my startup, because I feel like it's a teenage startup. It's not a baby, it's a teenager. And they're growing pains. But I'm learning a lot, and I'm so grateful for my foundation. Very, very grateful for my foundation that I got at Flockjay. And I wouldn't have this job otherwise. Like, it just was, the alignment has been great so far. I just need to pass this test. So that's it for this video, you guys. Thank you for watching. If you were just wondering, does Flockjay actually work? Yes, it does. Okay, I was able to, I just, with my incentive pay, oh my God, let me do that math right quick. I'm making almost 5 times as much as I was making before. So it does work. It is a real thing. It's not a scam, but you do have to put in that elbow grease, and you're going to have to do the same stuff on your job anyways. So anyways, I'm going to stop there. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like this video. I hope that it was helpful. Let me know if you have questions in the comments. Bye, guys.